Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fired Up. My name is Morgan McClintock, and I'm joined by my co-host today, Nicole Pytel. Hey, Nicole.
Hey, Morgan. Hey, everybody.
So today we are going to be talking about direct mail and gifting. So sending people something physical through the mail so that you can get their attention. We used to do this a lot, but it feels to me that these days it's sort of dropped off compared to more digital channels. But our guest today is Kris Rudeegraap, and he's the co-founder and co-CEO of Sendoso. And they've built a whole platform to make this much easier.
Yeah, they've literally combined just the old going to the post office with the fancy, shiny platforms that we're used to today. I'm really curious to see how this can work in marketing campaigns. Everybody loves getting stuff in the mail that isn't a bill. But how does it work? What should you do? What are the best practices? How do you measure the ROI of it? I think is the biggest question that I have. I'm excited to get all of those answers.
Right. We have our own store that we enjoy sending people coupons to get some swag and some fun stuff. It's super, super popular. We have a lot of fun with that. And so Sendoso has this massive catalog, far bigger than our store, where you can create your own store, but they can also send tickets to events and digital coupons for coffee or what have you. So there's a massive number of opportunities here to send people things. And anyone who's done this knows that logistically, direct mail is a real pain. And so maybe that's also partly why you sort of ease off doing it, because you've got to look at the addresses and you've got to get the right thing in the box and you've got to make sure they get sent and they have the right postage on them. I don't know. There's a million things that can go wrong with this. And so people sort of back off it. But if you could make it easier, I think it could have a massive impact on engagement and be a bit overlooked at a time when other channels, digital channels, are becoming more competitive.
Totally agree. Well, let's get to it.
All right. So please join me in welcoming Kris Rudeegraap, the co-founder of Sendoso, to Fired Up. Kris, hi. Welcome to Fired Up. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show today.
It's great to have you here. And so today we're going to be talking about direct mail in 2025. And let's just set the scene. You are the co-founder and co-CEO of Sendoso, which is a direct mail platform. So perhaps just to sort of start off, tell us a bit about direct mail in 2025. What are you seeing?
Yeah, so maybe I'll set the stage in that for us in Sendoso and what we've developed about 8 years ago was kind of a newer category of really like software-enabled direct mail and gifting. And so I think if you think back decades ago, direct mail has actually been a tactic that's been around forever. A lot of marketers are like, oh, I remember doing direct mail. And then like I stopped and did all this digital stuff. And so I think as you look today and in 2025 for direct mail and gifting, a lot of people know about it, but there's still a huge opportunity. And I say that because a lot of companies, I think the pendulum shifted so much into digital where they've overinvested or over-relied on digital ads, and those prices are going up like crazy. Or they over-relied on email, and that's becoming more spammy and the deliverability is becoming hard. Or if you're in B2B, you just have to be doing multi-touch in order to book that next meeting or get that pipeline moving. And that's harder than ever with the tactics that you have. So I think we'll see 2025 be a year where marketers invest more into direct mail and gifting.
So this is an underutilized channel. It used to be great. Like I am in that category of, I used to be sending out loads of direct mail and it worked brilliantly. And then we stopped and people went remote and it got harder to send them. But now maybe they're back in the office and there's a huge role to play here. So you position Sendoso as a sort of sending management platform. So talk to us a little bit about that and what are people actually sending?
You know, the reason why we're looking at this as kind of a sending management platform for direct mail and gifting is there's a lot that goes into direct mail and gifting. So first, it's, we have this software piece that allows you to set up rules and automations, integrate into your tech stack so that you can send things from Salesforce, Marketo, HubSpot, The list goes on in terms of all the sales and marketing tools. And then behind the scenes, there's all the fulfillment, the sourcing, supply chain, delivery that happens as well. And so because of that, it creates a really robust platform that allows marketers to send almost anything. You could send 10,000 postcards to drive attendance to a conference, or you could send one New York Yankees onesie to a prospect that's in your pipeline that you're doing some really targeted ABM to that just had a baby, or 100 bottles of wine for a holiday gift for a customer marketing program, or 40 Yetis with your logo on it as a new customer welcome kit run by marketing, or one handwritten note to an executive on a buying committee, inviting them to an exec event. The list goes on and on and on. The creativity is endless. And we have certain items that are available instantly on demand through our marketplace, through global partners. We then have these warehouses where you can work with our campaign services team. We'll procure and source things, get them in, kit them together, and then send 1 or 10,000. So it's one channel that really the creativity is in the eye of the marketer.
I love that. Endless possibilities. And hey, if you want to send 100 bottles of wine to Firebrand, we will take it. But with all of those possibilities, I think you start to think and it's like, well, I could do anything. And then it's like, well, I could do anything. Where should I start? For our startup marketing friends out there who are so careful with every single dollar and so careful about what they dive into, how should they go about injecting this into their marketing mix?
First thing I usually like to think about is, what are the leaky buckets, or what metrics need to be improved upon? I think most marketers can say, hey, we're trying to increase pipeline or increase content downloads, or we're trying to drive enablement for our SDR team so they can book more meetings, or we're trying to run this seasonal campaign that's integrated across multiple channels, or we're trying to drive digital ad conversion or webinar attendance, or we run an ABM campaign against some targeted accounts. So there's usually a handful of things that pop into the marketer's mind at any given time that they're trying to accomplish. Picking one of those and then saying, okay, well, how do we use direct mail and gifting to accomplish that outcome? Then looking at budgeting, hey, well, how much money can we spend on this versus other channels? And then kind of building out the campaign brief and the campaign itself. And then I'd say either A, it's much easier to use a tool like Sendoso, or you could try to do it on your own if you had the time and wanted to put that effort in. But if you were going to do it on your own, then there's a bit more sourcing and procurement of what you want to go out and get. Then there's the kitting and the notes that go along with it. Then there's going to the post office. Then there's the tracking links. Then there's putting that back into your CRM. Then there's the reporting and analytics. I think that's why we're seeing so much success, and that we take care of all that for marketers. But it shouldn't behoove you from stopping and not doing direct mail and gifting. If you don't have a solution, you still can do it on your own. And many people probably listening have done it on their own or are thinking about doing it.
So, Kris, one of the most common things that we hear from startup marketers is, I need to guide leads down the funnel. I'm getting traffic or I'm getting leads, and then I don't know what to do with them. I don't know how to turn them into opportunities. How can something like direct mail and gifting, help guide those leads down the funnel and help create pipeline?
A lot of customer examples on our website of how to do this, but a few that come to mind. One is, depending on the stage in the pipeline, oftentimes you need another touch point or a reason to engage with that prospect. And it might be, hey, you want to invite them to an event. And for that, sending a gift invite is a great way to do that. Or it might be, they're still in the education phase and you might need to send them a printed collateral booklet of a recent case study. And you can use sending a direct mailer for that use case as a way to continue the education process, getting them over the hump. It also could be that you don't have enough of the buying committee involved yet. If this is a larger kind of enterprise sale and you need to find tactics that you can engage other people on their team, and gifting is another great tactic to do that as well, because you can send things to other people. So I think it's all about having another touch point that you can use to grab the attention and continue to nurture that prospect down the pipeline and into a closed won deal.
When we say sort of direct mail, you're sending collateral, it's case studies, it's a postcard invite, but it can also be actual, you said the word gifting, it can be a gift like a Yeti or what have you. How do prospects really feel about that? Because it's overtly, I'm giving you this tumbler and I'm expecting you to sort of do something to reciprocate. How does that work? Because you don't want to turn your prospects off by you can't buy me with a $30 tumbler, right? But
Sometimes
Talk to us a bit about that. Yeah, there you go.
You'd be surprised. No, the way that I look at it is there's a couple of things you can do. One is you can leave it as a pay it forward and include your messaging that could be like, hey, here's a Yeti mug and a coffee gift card. Enjoy some coffee while you read this case study. And so it's targeted to the message. Or we've seen companies send out this like little Nintendo Switch controller and say, hey, you should switch off this legacy on-prem solution and switch to us. And so you're using the gift as part of the messaging that relates to the value proposition. I've even seen someone send like a bottle of wine with a lock and a combo code saying, are you trying to unlock more XYZ, whatever it may be. And so if it's creative and playful and it resonates, it's just a creative way to grab their attention. You can also leverage things that through our Smart Send feature, personalized gift. Hey, I know that you like golf, thought you'd like these golf balls, and tie that into your message. Hey, this will free up more time for golf because you won't having to be blah, blah, blah. You think about the value proposition, you tie that into the gift message, and it doesn't come across as, hey, here's a gift if I meet with you. So I think there's lots of creative ways to do that. The other part of this is people buy from people, and there's an elongated sales cycle for most things you're buying. And so sometimes the gift can come in the form of a thank you that helps move the deal through the cycle as well. Hey, thanks for coming to our webinar. Hey, thanks for meeting with the prospect. Hey, thanks for downloading this case study. And then you're getting this other chance to build rapport by sending something out to them almost as a pay it forward. So they're not getting something in exchange for it. They already got it. You can incentivize, and I think incentives work really well for certain categories. We see a lot of people running ads saying, take a demo, get a $100 gift card, or we see ads saying, take a demo, get this Yeti mug. And people enjoy that. And if you're on the fence about, hey, what is this solution? I am curious. Oh, and I'll get this Yeti mug. That's nice icing on the cake for me to say yes and gets me over the hump. So I think there's definitely a place for that. And we're seeing a lot of customers having success with that.
Right. So there's a good example. Like we're doing a paid media thing. It might be to an event, which is hard conversion, or like might do a webinar. And then, hey, if you come along, you're going to get this, again, going back to my Yeti mug. Well, I was going to go anyway, so thank you. And you guys would come into that by going, all right, we'll take the list of people who convert on LinkedIn or wherever it is. And because of your integrations, you guys would then do the execution of making sure that those people got the branded mug.
Another thing we've seen a lot of success with are these, besides just your regular holidays, there's a lot of what I'd call almost like made up holidays, like National Spreadsheet Day or National Coffee Day or National. And so you can use that as a lever to run a campaign. Recently, I saw a campaign where it was National Spreadsheet Day, and they were talking about how to get rid of the spreadsheet, move to the cloud. And they said custom, it was like this jam spread. And they're like, here's some jam spread on some toast and enjoy it on me. Well, again, it's leveraging your brand, the value proposition, current event to grab the attention, which is all what marketers are trying to do these days, is grab the attention.
So you guys have like a big catalog of products that you provide. But then are there any professional services here that kind of go, oh, well, we've seen this work before. I mean, we get asked, hey, what should we send? And, we can all come up with ideas. But some of those that you came up with, it could be tickets to an event or what have you, are pretty sort of different. Do you go so far as to sort of help customers conceive the rewards that people might get and send out? Or is it really up to the marketing team to kind of?
Yeah, so we have kind of a 3-tier approach. First is marketers can dream up anything they want, come to us, and we'll do the heavy lifting of the sourcing, procurement, kitting, delivery, etc. The second is we have a campaign services team, almost agency-like, that will say, what are you trying to accomplish? Here's 10 ideas, pick which one, then we'll go. The third is we have this turnkey Smart Send feature where you can just plug in someone's name or their email, and we'll pick out a one-off custom gift idea on the spot based on that recipient's interests, their location, their title, all these other things, and give on the spot per individual gift or direct mailer options that you can just click and send right then and there.
Like, this can be used for customer success, a thank you. It can be used for sales. We've talked a bit about marketing there, but it can be part of an ABM flow, right? Where it's a multi-touch and people get to a certain threshold and I'm trying to engage them. Talk to us a little bit about that use case.
Yeah, ABM was a perfect, almost like an epiphany for me when I started the company. It was when ABM was just getting going. And so I really rode that wave of ABM. And I think the big things with ABM is one, you're trying to do more spear phishing than net phishing. So you're much more targeted on the accounts you're going after. So you need to be more thoughtful on what you're going to do because you can't burn through tens of thousands of leads. In ABM, you're like, ooh, I only got this smaller subset of accounts that I'm really trying to work. And so that's where you can send a more thoughtful, more costly gift or mailer to grab their attention than a super low cost ad or email. And you care less about that conversion as opposed to ABM. You really are being careful with that conversion. The other thing with ABM is you might be inviting them to your target accounts to events and using gifting to get those folks to an event. You might be building out custom landing pages for these ABM accounts. And on that custom landing page, maybe you embed a form to grab a custom gift. With ABM, you're also doing a lot more multi-threading and trying to find the larger buying committee, of which you might use gifting and direct mail to engage those folks differently. You also, with ABM, might be empowering your SDR and your AE to collaborate together and send different things. And you want to provide them with tools. You also might run ads towards named accounts and include gifts in those. So there's a lot of different reasons why we see gifting play into your ABM efforts and drive more success with that kind of targeted approach.
Yeah. And since everything's connected to the CRM, you get full attribution, right? If I go down to the post office and start sending out Yeti mugs, I'm either not going to know how they were received or it's going to be a lot of work on my end. I would assume that you guys would have the same type of attribution as sending an email nurture or things like that, where you can look at this and say, okay, this actually did move the needle. We can prove that.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to look at ROI. So one is we can do automated campaign tracking and list tracking for CRMs. You can also have this as steps like in Marketo or HubSpot or other marketing, Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So you can track it in the marketing system if you're running programs pushing them into the CRM, depending on if you're running a more of an MQL type strategy. You also might look at the ROI based on maybe on the mailer or gift itself, it has a QR code or a short URL, and you're trying to drive them further into an engagement. So you have a personalized URL or a thank you link. So there's even more ways that you can track that back as well. Not to mention the ROI cost savings on top of that, because we find a lot of marketers know they need to do this, want to do it. It's more expensive to do it in-house. And so there's the ROI of even doing it out through us.
Yeah, so let's talk about ROI. So if you're just getting started in this, you're just dipping your toe in the water, what's, for lack of a better term, what's like the minimum viable gift that there is? Because there's a big difference between like a Yeti mug and tickets to an event. So like, where does it fall? What's the minimum to really make this effective?
I'd push back on that question in a couple of different ways. One is I would say like, depending on if you're selling a $100,000 IT security software, do you really need to go for like a $5 Starbucks card and save so much money? So I'd say first, what's your ACV? What's your CAC? Like, how do you think about your sales? Now, if you are selling to SMBs, your sales price is you're selling a $300 a month product. Sure, you have to consider things differently, but I think gifting and direct mail has this misconception that it's inherently more expensive because there's a cost compared to maybe like sending an email. But for a lot of savvy marketers, they'll say, okay, if for every dollar I spend on ads, if it only delivers $2 in pipeline, but for every dollar I spend on gifting and direct mail, it delivers $5 in pipeline. Is gifting more expensive? No. Furthermore, if you are running more of an email-based outbound only or email-based marketing demand gen program, and it takes 3 months to get book that meeting because you're just taking that time and the prospect's ignoring most of it, versus it takes 2 weeks because you sent them this nice $50 Yeti mug. What's the opportunity cost of that pipeline in your pipe that much faster? So there's a couple different ways I like to like rethink about that. But to that point, if you do need to start small because you have a small ACV, you can do things very creatively. We've seen some people send like an empty pizza box that says like, hungry for a new solution, chat with us, and that catches you off guard, or a treasure map printed out with a little note saying like, looking for a golden solution, XYZ, blah, blah, blah. Or someone sent these like fake aspirin pills that were like, I think $1.50 that said, is your current solution giving you a headache? Check this out. We've even seen someone send some fake prop money that says is your current solution, burning a hole in your pocket. I think they even burned some of the edges. So you can get hyper creative there. You can filter in our platform saying under $10, under $20, under $50. You can filter that down. But my ultimate reason for going on this like tangent is sometimes you don't start with the price and think about what you're trying to accomplish first.
Love that. Love that. And I love how you build it into customer acquisition costs. Because you're right. We think about that in every other type of channel. And I think because there's a physical thing here, there's this misconception, oh, that's more expensive, when it may not necessarily be more expensive. So I think it's a really interesting way. You just build it into the budget, figure it out. And yeah, if you need to start small, there's a lot of different ways to do that. I love the creative examples you shared because it's very simple yet very effective.
I mean, look, people are used to paying $20 a click or whatever.
Exactly.
You don't think twice about that, and the conversion rates are so. I think you can easily reframe it.
We've talked about some of the really great examples and some really great creativity. Are there any mistakes that you can make here? Does it take time to dial this strategy in, or is it just like you pick the right gift and you're off and running?
Yeah, no, we definitely see mistakes. A couple that come to mind is one, thinking about this as just a kind of a golden gun that just is going to instantly book you meetings and not thinking about the before and after. With any channel you're using or any campaign, you got to think about what are we doing before this gets delivered or after it gets delivered? How is sales going to be informed so that they can smartly follow up? We've seen some programs where marketing will just blast out a bunch of things and then sales gets on the call with the meeting and they're like, oh, thank you for sending that over. And the salesperson's like, what did I send? I don't know. You need this alignment between sales and marketing in order to create this in sync customer experience or prospect experience. So I think that's the first thing. Two, I think not doing it at all or doing a little of it because it's so hard. I often see that as a mistake and people are like, oh, I'll just get to test out a few of these. And similar to maybe like SEO, it's people have learned you can't just do SEO for 2 weeks and be like, oh, it's not working. I'm not getting like 50 leads. It's something that you put in time and effort and you bet this is going to be a strategy and you invest in it for the years to come. And so I think that's a critical component of it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, we say the same. Like, if you're going to do paid media, you have to invest a certain amount of ad inventory. Otherwise, you don't get enough sort of clicks through to get conversions. And so, and you have to commit to optimizing it over time. It might work first time, but, you need to build a bit of a portfolio. And so maybe you need to sort of dial in where the gifting or the sending fits into the sales process and exactly what that gift is, because each audience is different and some people have got 1,000 Yeti mugs and want to go to an event, and other people it's the opposite. So you got to kind of dial that in, I guess. So I guess this is a little bit of a like natural life cycle to people that you see as they sort of use your platform. Okay, they start on a little project, then they kind of move to a mature phase. Like, talk to us a bit about the life cycle here.
Yeah, I'd say the maturity of our customers, typically they'll come in with more of what I would say is more like the CSV upload mindset. And I think that's historically just a lot of marketers having a platform like Sendoso would rely on a spreadsheet in order to try to accomplish something like this. Hey, we're going to build a spreadsheet. We're going to add some addresses in. We're going to take that to the post office. We're going to blah, blah, blah. So I think first is, hey, let's just do what we know how to do and just do it better with Sendoso. And so, hey, let's upload a CSV. I think the next maturity is actually, let's be more real-time and thoughtful by enabling our field reps along with our marketing programs to do this on their own. And so we see marketing demand gen teams saying, hey, you 600 reps, you each get $1,000 a month to spend. You get access to log in. We're going to set some rules and parameters. It's going to be all tracked. Marketing's still going to get credit. Don't worry. But sales or account management or SDRs can use the tools that they're currently using in their current workflows and be more real time and more personalized with these gifts enabled by marketing. And I think that's the next step. And we see success with kind of this one-to-one gifting and mailers. The next phase after that is a mixture of semi-automated and fully automated gifting. And so this would be usually things that are working. Like we had a problem prior to Sendoso with demo show rates. We were only getting 60% of people showing up to demos. Now, after implementing this morning of a demo, sending a Starbucks gift card, reminding them of the demo and giving them a little something, we got that up to 90%, but the AE had to remember each morning to send that out. Now that this is working, let's just set up an automation through Salesforce or whatever tool to actually automatically send this out based on some data that we already are capturing, making it look and feel the same exact as if a sales rep was sending it or a marketer, but doing it up programmatically. And then there's a lot more of those examples too that we have recipes for or examples of. But that's typically how we see it is V one-to-one and then automated or fully automated.
Yeah, that makes good sense. And then you talked about, hey, this can be a coupon, electronic, it can be an email. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a physical thing. If I'm sending something physical though, I mean, we did touch on people have gone, they're working from home. How do you tackle that? Are there any best practices around this? Because obviously I can, I get someone to convert on my website. I know their email. I can enrich with the company and their address. I can send stuff to their company office. I think that's fine. How does it work when people are from home? Because people are not always that willing to share their personal home address. So you could end up sending something consumable to the office and the person rarely goes. So how does that work?
A couple different ways we offer this. One is we do have this address confirmation feature where the recipient is notified saying, hey, there's this gift, this item coming to your office. Do you want this to be sent somewhere else instead? You see upwards of 80% of confirmations here. We also have a little note saying this is a third party that's going to use for delivery and then delete this information. It's not as awkward as like a sales rep saying, hey, give me your address. I need to add this to our CRM. It's like a secure third party. So that works really well. In addition, we do have some data providers that we connect our customers with that provide a mixture of home and business address data. And then the third way, we're actually rolling out and beta testing the smart delivery feature where we're going to help our customers optimize to say, hey, it looks like Kris goes in the office because of these data factors that we have. So send to the office. Or, hey, it looks like Nicole doesn't go in the office. They don't have an office anymore. So use this address and send to her home, or hey, use this email confirmation to get her to confirm. So it's just algorithm that will help inform at scale the best delivery method through smart delivery.
Okay. I like the, I know I'm going to send this to your work address, but if you want to redirect it to your home address because you don't often go, it's not going to get slurped into Salesforce. And that presumably works for gifts. Hey, I'm not going to put in my personal email address because I want to get your case study or printed collateral. That stuff just has to go to the office.
Correct. Well, in some cases, they're combined together where it might be a Yeti mug with collateral. We see that working really well. So usually they'll be merged together at times. We even see people sending out collateral with gift cards that then have to be like QR coded to be redeemed. So it's a bit of you pay upon click and open in redemption. So there's another avenue to use that as a path to send something out to somebody too.
So what advice would you give to startups when it comes to direct mail and gifting in 2025? What are kind of some of the best tips that they can take advantage of if they've been listening to this and their creative chops are churning there? What would you advise?
Yeah, my advice would be to take a step back and kind of rethink your prospect or customer journey right now. It's beginning of the year, it's a new year. You have that time to hopefully to reset things. So I would think about, hey, where are different parts of the leaky bucket that we want to improve on, or what areas do we want to focus on this year where we could add in new channels? Maybe it's a podcast advertising, maybe it's direct mail and gifting, maybe it's sponsoring, new content syndication. So I think now is the time to think about that buyer journey and think about it in terms of that buyer and be more buyer led and think about that. I think that's oftentimes that ends up being like, ooh, we should actually include a direct mail or gift in this buyer's journey. And then, hey, here we are, Sendoso.
As you opened up here, people are looking at their plans, they're thinking paid media is working, but it's getting increasingly expensive and competitive. Email is getting full of AI slop and it's maybe not performing quite as well. And so what other channels can I open up? And hey, direct mail used to be, as you said, the go-to, right? My signature is still terrible because I used to sign so many letters. We used to send tons of stuff out and it worked really well. And then people perhaps they moved their eye off it to something a bit more measurable. But what you've done here is try and bring some of that measurability back And so as companies are looking at 2025 and they're saying, hey, I'm moving on my ABM motion, or we have our company event, right? And how do I just juice more value out of my company event with people coming and making sure that they do come and that we do some follow-up afterwards? This could be a great option for them.
Yeah, you nailed it.
So Kris Rudeegraap is the co-founder and co-CEO of Sendoso. And Kris, thanks for sharing some of your knowledge with us today. If people want to get in touch with you, where should they go?
Yeah, follow me on LinkedIn or send me an email, Kris, K-R-I-S, @sendoso.com. Love chatting with people. Love virtually grabbing coffee or grabbing coffee in person. I'm live in the San Francisco Bay Area. So shoot me a line.
Wonderful. Listen, Kris, thanks for your advice today. Really enjoyed learning more about this. Really appreciate it. And we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Morgan. Thanks, Nicole.